Hello, good evening, and welcome to part 2 of Kente for a King. When Opoku felt he could not walk any farther, he saw a man cutting palm nuts. The man invited him to spend the night. The next morning, Opoku thanked his host and set out along the forest path. After many weeks, Opoku found himself on a plain of small bushes and tall red anthills. Before him was a huge body of water, larger than any lake he had ever seen in the kingdom of Ashanti. As Opoku walked along the beach, he met a kind man who learned that he was a stranger and invited him to his home. To his great joy, his host told him that he too was a weaver. What a coincidence. When Opoku entered the compound, he could not believe what he saw. The kente on the loom was not just white, nor was it just colored. The colors had a beautiful sheen, which made the kente look very rich. He reached out and touched it gently with his hands. The yarn is so smooth and shiny, he said. Yes, said Opoku's host. The yarn is made from silk. It came from traders who crossed the sea from faraway places. I gave them gold as payment for the silk. Wow. Opoku built a loom and proceeded to weave a cloth with new designs. His host said, "You have woven a cloth fit for a king." Opoku replied, "I shall call it the kente cloth of the ultimate design, and I shall present it to my king." Opoku united his bag of gold dust. "I must buy silk yarn from you so that I can weave more silk kentes for him." "Take all the yarn you need," Opoku's host replied. Opoku thanked his host and invited him to Bonre to be presented to the king. Opoku arrived home to Bonre early, very early, one morning. He took his bath, put on a clean cloth, and waited inside. When he saw the royal weavers in the compound, he came out of his room. "Opoku, Opoku, where have you been?" they asked. "We thought something had happened and that we would never see you again." "I had a dream," Opoku explained. "To make it come true, I had to travel far away, and I could not tell anyone." The leader of the weavers stepped forward. "Did you find what you were looking for?" he asked. "Oh yes," replied Opoku. He then brought out the colored silk kente cloth of the ultimate design. When they heard Opoku's story, they congratulated him on his courage and his skill in weaving the most beautiful kente they had ever seen. Then everyone stood up, and in joyful procession, they walked to the king's palace. Stay tuned for the final part if you want to find out what happened when Opoku returned, or when Opoku was presented to the king with the ultimate Kente design. Good night.